Good morning, everyone. My name is Ren Xinchi. I know it's hard for you to pronounce, so simply you can call me Nick. I'm come from Alibaba, and today I feel very honored to be here to give this talk. My topic is the Alibaba monitoring system. So I will give a brief introduction for us. How do we manage the monitoring, especially for the business monitoring? Okay. First, I'd like to introduce about myself. I'm a senior engineer of GOC team in Alibaba Group. I'm mainly responsible for the business monitoring, including the product design and solution delivery. And before I joined Alibaba, I was working in Huawei for 4 years and responsible for the deployment and maintenance. Okay. For GOC, it's short for the Global Operations Center. So we are mainly responsible for the stability management for the entire Alibaba business, including the fault management, the monitoring management, change management, and the disaster recovery management. And we provide a 7 days times 24 hours service, monitoring service for the whole entire Alibaba businesses. 90% of the major fault was discovered by us. When we will discover the fault by the business alarm, and we will send the notifications to the related engineers and the managers to ensure that they can know the issues immediately at the first time. And also, we will keep updating the status until the fault was recovered. This is a picture for our monitoring center. Totally, we have 3 sites in China and the US. 2 of them in Hangzhou and Beijing, and the other is in San Mateo of the United States. In the middle of first picture, you can see Jack Ma. He's laughing, right? So I think our job is doing not bad. As we know that Alibaba is a very large economy. So actually, it has more than 30 business units in different business domains, such as Taobao, the largest C2C trade platform in China, the Alipay, the most popular online paying system in China, and also the Golden Map, the AliCloud, the AliExpress, Youku, and so on. So based on them, we have millions of online servers to maintain. And in order to monitor this, we will configure more than 10 million monitor items, which will generate about billions monitor alarms and monitoring data with PB level. So the question comes, how can we know the status of all the businesses? This is a requirement from the management. They want to know if the service is running fine or not the CPU is high or slow, something like that. So this is a question for us. We need to tell. Before answer this question, I would like to introduce our monitoring structure. We have defined 4 layers for the monitoring. For the bottom to the top, they are infrastructure layer, and the system and application layer, business layer, and customer feedback layer. So different layers will have its own monitoring consent and platform. For infrastructure layer, it's mainly monitoring about the network and the IDC. IDC is short for Internet Data Center. So for example, we will monitor the bandwidth, the packet loss rate, and for IDC, it's for temperature, the electricity, and the power. So if the issue happens in these layers, usually it will affect a lot. For example, if the power in one server room is totally down, so all the service which have the server in this room will be affected more or less. But fortunately, usually it's stable. And for the system and application layer, we are monitoring the capacity, the performance, the process for these applications, such as CPU, the load, the status of JVM, something like that. And for the business layers, we are more focused on the business chains. For example, we will monitor the transaction of Taobao, the payments through Alipay, the login state for Youku. It will include the KPIs, the success count, the success rate for the main APIs. And the last is the feedback layers. So we know that the customer will complain when they cannot use the service. So based on the complaints, we can calculate the counts in minutes level. So this is a trend for that. In order to let you to understand easier, so I will just make example. For example, if currently there's an issue happened in application named Baitu, it's main application for Taobao transaction. So in customer side, they will find that they cannot buy goods in Taobao. So they will start to complain. Main calls to the hotline and main complaints in the online. So the feedback trends will increase a lot. We can see that trend. And in the business layers, we can see that the metric of Taobao transaction will decrease a lot. And we can even know that it decreased 50% or 17%. And in application and system layers, with the engineer will get alarms for the CPU, the load, and the abnormal state for JVM. They will receive a lot of alarms. And actually, we found that for the business layers, it's much more close to the customer. And it has a very clear relation between the metric trend to the customer. And also, based on the trend, we can clearly know the impact. Makes the impact percent, like it's 30% customer is suffering, or totally all of the customer is suffering. So we decided that the business layer to be the most important layer for us to manage. So then we can see that if the business is stable, so we can tell the managers that now the service is stable. And also, we have combined the business monitoring with fault management. We know that for each business unit, we will list the main functions for his business. And also, we will just create the business metrics, which can map into the functions. And each metric, we will define a fault priority definition. For example, the order per minute on Taobao decreased by 15 or above. We make this rule as a P1 level, P1 fault. And the transaction per minute on Alipay decreased by 5% to 15%. We will make as P2 fault. So when we generate the metric and we keep some abnormal detection rules to generate an alarm, the alarm will send to us. Then we will start our emergency response based on the drop percentage, the definition. Then we will send a notification to the engineers. Now there's a P1 issue, fault is happening, so you need to come up and to deal with that. Okay, so then I will just describe how we made this business monitoring. From our experience, we have made 5 golden elements for that. It's called total count, success rate, response time, and the failure count. From name, I think you can easily know the meaning of each one. And for these five elements, you can, with the trend, with the status, we can simulate, we can know that what's going on in customer side. For example, if currently the total account increase and the success rate going down, so we know that part of the customer is suffering from this service, and they are keep trying. And based on this template, so we made our product to which can suit for these 5 elements. You can see the picture down in the bottom of this slide. We have these 5 elements per minute. So we will make our product to calculate for each interface. So based on this data, we can do our business monitoring. Also, sometimes we also want to make some dimensional analysis for the monitoring, like IDC level, the area level, the client level, and so on. So we will just separate data into different different type. Like this, the first picture is, you can see it's for the LDC dimensions. So the data will be separated into the different data center. So when an issue comes, we know that the transaction cover is decreased. Then we come to this data. We see that if the data is dropped only in one center, so we know that the issue is only happening here. So we will do additional operation to make the recover. And the second, you can see it's grouped by the error code. So from this monitoring item, so we can know what's the main reason for these failures. And in order to generate the monitor items, so we made our log standard. So there are several fields, like time, the trace ID, the API name, the date type, result, error code, response time, and also the other tags if you want to add. So I make an example. So there are 3 logs here. So there are four steps to create the monitor items. First, I will use the API name equal to create order, and the date type equal to 0 as a filter. So in this way, I can know the total count of this transaction or this business. Then the second step, I will use the result equal to S as a success one, while the F as a failure. So after I doing this, I can know the success count, the failure count, and the success rate. The third step, I will just average the response time. So from the step 1 to 3, so we can build monitor items with 5 golden elements. And the last step, we use the group by the tags as needed, so we can generate the dimensional data if you want. And also, we want to have a way for display. So the graphic display is needed. So in this picture, you can see that when you click any metric, any number, digit here, then it will show in a picture for the trend, how it's behaved. And also, you can adjust the time. So you can see the day before, or the last week, or even the last year. And in this picture, you can also see that there are some words. It's application change. We know that most of the faults come from the change, like 70%. So we combined the change information with the monitoring information. Later, I will show an example for you. And also, we make a data comparison tool. We can compare the data with yesterday, with last week. So it's easier for us to know if this job is happening only today or every day is happening. And also, based on the data we create, we can make a customized dashboard to combine the related metrics. So here you can have an overview of this business with the total count, with the dimensional analysis. So this will be helpful for us to analyze the fault. And with the help of this format, so we use the flexible configuration rules for the alarms. So we can, when the business alarms generate, we can discover the fault. Then we use the customized dashboard to do a preliminary analysis for this fault. based on the dimensional analyze the change info, the status of an application, and also the upstream or downstream changes. So after we make the analysis, we can make a faster fault recover, like rollback. If we can see that there's a change just happened before the job, so we can make a rollback. If we see that the job is happening in one IDC, so we can do the failover, so even the degradation. So the step from 1 to 3, these 3 steps is very important for us to recover service. And after recover service, we will do the further investigation for the root cause. And for this period, the customer will not suffering from the out of service. Now I will just make some example to you. This picture is monitoring graph for the Taobao transaction, which is in different, contains a different IDC. So you can see that in around 70:38, there's a drop for the red line. So the other lines are stable. So we know that these issues only happened in one site. So we made a decision to switch to failover. We just switched all the traffic from this site to other 2 sites. So in 2 minutes, the service just recovered. So the investigation maybe will takes 1 hour, but the customer will not suffering. And the second case is about the change details. So as I mentioned that in the bottom of the matrix, there will be some yellow point. So it's like the change details. So we can see that this is a metric for some success rate of a service. So before, just 1 or 2 minutes before this job, there's a change has made by Jack. So we know this issue. Most probably it's have some relation. So we just call him to do the rollback. After he roll back the service, roll back the change, the service recovered. Okay, and also we are working. We also just build some products to want to make the monitoring to be intelligent. Like we have the baseline prediction. We have the abnormal detection by the algorithm. And for this part, my colleague has shared last year. So I won't say too much thing about that. And the last slide is about the future work that we are going to do. So we will make it as 3 steps. The first step is the automation dashboard. As I mentioned, that the dashboard is very necessary for the analysis, but currently we need to configure 1 by 1. So we know that all the data has some connections. So we want the system to build the connections. Then when the issue comes, or a fault comes, alarm comes, so we can automatically generate a dashboard which contains the information related. So this is the first step. The second step that since we build the connection for the data, so we will start let the system to analyze, to give us a recommend for the root cause of this fault. And after the success rate of the recommend is higher enough, so we are going to the third step. We will let the system to decide which operation needs to be done to recover the fault. Okay, so that's all about my sharing. So if you have any question, you can just ask me.